Well, hello, friends. My name is Matt. I'm the youth and family pastor at Cornerstone Church in Marshfield, and I'm here today with your Cornerstone Connection, a daily devotional. So, by the time you view this, I will have already preached a message on Sunday morning, and so this week I've been preparing for that message, and it's a great privilege that I get to preach this Sunday. Not just because it's fun to be able to preach on Sunday morning to our congregation, but it's our graduation Sunday. We'll be recognizing our graduates, and the message that I'm preparing is out of 1 John 5, verses 1 to 13, and John pens just amazing verses. He pens just incredible truth. And though the truth is incredible, as I read it, it's so simple. It just seems so easy and not complex. And as I'm preparing it, I'm like, I guess I'm just going to be proclaiming the word, and God will do the teaching that He's going to do. There's not a whole lot to add to it. And it just got me thinking, we're often, and I think this is true throughout all of human history. As mankind, we've often taken the simple things of God and we've made them complex, we've made them confusing to the point that we're not willing to accept the simple and true things of God. And, Paul saw this as well, the Apostle Paul. And he wrote two letters to the Corinthians, but in his first letter, he's got this great passage in which he's talking about what people are looking for from God. And in this letter, in this passage, he's specifically talking about the Jews and the Greeks. And in verses 22 to 25, and I'm just going to read for you here, he just writes something that's so profound and so true and can be applied to us here in this day and age and in our culture. He writes in verse 22, he says, Jews demand miraculous signs, and Greeks look for wisdom. But we preach Christ crucified, a stumbling block for Jews, and foolishness to Gentiles. But to those whom God has called, both Jews and Greeks, Christ, the power of God, and the wisdom of God. For the foolishness of God is wiser than man's wisdom, and the weakness of God is stronger than man's strength. Now, Paul is, of course, focusing on the Jews and the Greeks and their unwillingness to accept the gospel, the good news, the simple truth that we have eternal life through Jesus Christ, who lived perfectly, who died sacrificially, and who rose again, and will never have to go and die again. And because He rose again, you and I can have life. And it's that simple, but as Paul puts it, he says, you know what? Christ crucified is a stumbling block to Jews. And you know what? Christ crucified is a stumbling block for others even today, not just Jews. And he also says Christ crucified is foolishness to the Gentiles. You know what? Even today, that idea that the Son of God would die on a cross, it's foolishness to people. And isn't it like us? Isn't it like us in humanity to want to take such a simple thing, such a simple truth that will set us free and make it really complex, or not be willing to accept it because it doesn't make sense. It just can't be that easy. It just can't be that simple. But friends, I love what Paul writes. He says, the foolishness of God is wiser than man's wisdom. The strength of God is stronger, or the weakness of God is stronger than man's strength. Friends, if God is the author of the gospel story, it's more than enough. We don't have to add anything to it. Just like my message this weekend, though it seems as I'm writing it to be way too simple, man, it's powerful. Why? Because it's God's story. He wrote it. And it's that simple truth that sets man free from themselves and from their sin. How awesome is that? Well, thanks, friends. I hope that encourages you today and reminds you of the power, the strength, and the wisdom of God. Have a great day. We'll see you next time on the Cornerstone Connection.